Good evening, Mr. Mayor, common council, friends and family, residents of Battle Hill, and the Minister's Fellowship Council. My name is Michael Hannon. I'm a 13-year veteran of the White Plains Police Department. On September 22nd, 2011, I was a victim of an unconscionable assault committed by the Assistant Chief of Police, Ann Fitzsimmons, who intentionally threw a chair at me while my back was turned. Her actions were witnessed and later documented by 3 people. Following the cowardly act, she neither apologized nor made any effort to determine the severity of the injury she caused. Instead, she chose to run and hide behind her rank, friends and colleagues in the department's administration, Office of Professional Standards, and later the city government and the DA's office. Following the incident, I immediately went to the White Plains Police Administration in accordance with all department rules and protocol. The actions of the Assistant Chief were ignored and the incident was never investigated. With the full support of my brothers and sisters in the White Plains PBA, President Rob Riley is present, and the recommendation of the union's executive board, I filed a complaint with the mayor's office. To my surprise and utter disappointment, they also ignored the actions and refused to investigate the incident. As a result of the violent crime committed in the workplace, I received serious physical injuries, which caused me to miss 3 months of work and have forced me to live with great pain and discomfort. I've had to endure 5 months of physical therapy, painful trigger point injections in my back, and visits to the chiropractor, all designed to help me live with my pain number, which for those of you who do not know, it's the number you give the physician of your pain every time you go to visit them. During my time out of work, I was never contacted by any City of White Plains administration official or any City of White Plains official in regards to the incident or the status of my recovery. Again, I followed all city and department rules and regulations and policies. However, the city nor the White Plains Police Department followed any of their own rules and regulations when it came to this incident. I do not only blame Chief Ann Fitzsimmons, I blame those who apparently sanctioned her behavior by refusing to investigate the assault, including but not limited to Lieutenant Michael Fitzmorris, Police Chief James Bradley, Commissioner David Chong, and ultimately the mayor. All had knowledge of the incident shortly after it occurred. The Commissioner and the Chiefs have meetings in City Hall on a weekly basis, so the incident was surely discussed. I am now embarrassed, as are many of my brothers and sisters, to wear the shield of the White Plains Police. This is due to the way of the upper management.
Mr. Hannon.
You finish. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am now embarrassed, as many others of my brothers and sisters, to wear the shield of the White Plains Police. This is due to the way the upper management handles various issues. Apparently, the department and city policies are enforced only when and for whom they want. I would like to know, as well as many other people present today, how and why the mayor and the common council could allow this to happen. How and why hasn't any action been taken against the assistant chief in over 6 months following the assault? It seems preferential treatment is given to those with higher status in the city's government. I would like to know, is selective enforcement justifiable or fair? I'm either a victim of racism or favoritism or both. The question now is, if and when is the mayor and this council going to make this incident right? The residents nor I want to hear the cop-out phrase, the case is in litigation and nothing can be done. The appropriate action for the mayor and this council to take is disciplinary action against Chief Ann Fitzsimmons and those who allowed her conduct to go covered up and unpunished. In closing, this council and the city may decide not to do the right thing. They may continue to allow and support the actions of Assistant Chief Annie Fitzsimmons and her colleagues in the upper management of the White Plains PD. Great embarrassment and shame should befall this council and the city for their total lack of effort and the refusal to do the right thing in dealing with this incident. We all took an oath, either as police officers or city government officials. The transgressions of a few will affect the many. To begin the healing process, not only in the White Plains Police Department, but in the city of White Plains, This incident needs to be made right. All city and department policies must be followed no matter who the employee is. I've never asked for this incident to happen. All I ask is treated fairly and justly. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Council, my name is David Jones. I'm the New York representative of Blacks in Law Enforcement in America. And I'm also here on behalf of Officer Mike Hannon. He's also a member. Apparently, he explained his story, and I think it's absurd that a assistant chief can assault an officer and no department charges can be brought against him. I also think it's sad that the DA refused to even press charges against assault. If I do remember correctly, it was a couple of years ago that an officer, a White Plains police officer, got fired for pushing a sergeant. But an assistant chief can literally hit or assault an officer with a chair and nothing happens to him. Accountability comes from the top down. Yes. Comes from the top down. We cannot expect the officers to act professionally with citizens and taxpayers White Plains if the management of the police department is not showing that example. Chief Fitzsimmons is not showing that example. And they're not even following their own policy on how an officer should behave in the White Plains Police Department. So what do we expect if there's no accountability? If officers can call citizens derogatory names, ethnic names, and not be accountable. How do we feel as African Americans in Westchester County and White Plains that we spend our money here? We come to shop in the malls and we eat in your restaurants, but employees of the city is calling us the N-word and claiming that is a tactic to get people to do something for them. That is not a tactic. I've been in law enforcement for 23 years. I've disarmed people in better health than Mr. Chamberlain and with weapons. And I didn't have to kill them. I didn't have to kill them. And I didn't call them any racial slurs to get them to do what I wanted to do. So we're here as a community, and I'm here as a representative of a national law enforcement organization, and I'm saying enough is enough. There has to be some type of accountability. Somebody's head has to fall for this, because this is absurd. In Departmental Policy 8704, it says, no employee will either explicitly or implicitly ridicule, mock, deride, or belittle any person. Employees shall not make any offensive or derogatory comments to any person, either directly or indirectly, based on race, color, sex, religion, age, disability, or national origin. They have violated their policy, and they need to be accountable for it. They need to be accountable.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Common Council. Before I begin, I just want to say that on behalf of my family, I just want to say to Officer Michael Hannon that we support you 100%. And the White Plains Police Department is behaving like that. What can you expect from some of their officers? We lead by example. The New York Daily News reported that the Westchester County District Attorney, Janet DeFiore, said that the N-word was used as a means to distract my father, but she condemned the tactic. But I would think that using the word nigger, and I'm saying it because I want you to understand the offensiveness of it. When I listen to the audio and I hear police officers say nigger, that's not to distract him. That was, in fact, to antagonize or provoke him.
That's right.
To diffuse a situation, not create one. And the use of offensive terms by a member of your neighborhood conditions unit strongly suggests the existence of a biased mentality. The lack of a criminal indictment also sends a message to the minorities of this city that their lives are worthless. You have stated that our work as a city and as a community is far from over, and I agree with you with that. And that you will be seeking authorization from the Common Council for funding to have a panel of experts conduct a thorough review of the city policies and procedures, but that's not enough.
That's right.
I'm asking that you strongly recommend to Commissioner Chong that any and all officers named at this point in time be suspended pending the outcome of this federal investigation.
All right.
Appalled and horrified with what appears to be no action taken on behalf of the White Plains Common Council and Police Commissioner David Chong to seek fairness and justice in the two aforementioned cases. We further aghast at the decision of the Police Commissioner David Chong and the White Plains Police Department, whose job it is, and sworn oath taken to protect and serve our city and all of its citizens. For the city or the police commissioner not to take internal actions on both the Chamberlain shooting and the abuse and physical impairment done to Officer Hannon by his superior assistant police chief Ann Fitzsimmons is morally unacceptable. To hold your applause, you're taking my time. Mr. Chamberlain was not a suspect, a criminal, and neither was he involved in any action of terrorism. He was minding his own business in his home when police came, responding to a medical alert with guns and tasers and other weapons drawn, not to mention the verbal harassment and the use of hate language, which in other communities is a hate crime. White Plains Police, according to the news media and an autopsy report, appear to show escalating tension and shooting of an unarmed man who was posing no threat to police, self, or others. What rights does a citizen have in her or his own home? We are gravely concerned with the treatment being meted out to black people of White Plains and neighboring communities. Additionally, in the case of Officer Hannon, who had a chair hurled across the room when he was doing his job in a professional manner by none other than his superior assistant police chief Ann Fitzsimmons, the result of which left Officer Hammond physically impaired. Need I ask what would have happened to Officer Hammond had he done the same cowardly act to another officer?
That's right.
Moreover, Chief Fitzsimmons has had no repercussions for this action, which is not becoming of a police officer, nor so of a superior. We live in a community that prides itself on being a blended community, but we are far from being such. If the police whose salary we pay, and the VA and the grand jury who is sworn to be fair and non-prejudicial in their findings, can find no fault with the police officer who breaks the law in his actions and is guilty of racial hatred, then we are in every sense of the word living in a perilous time. I'll jump down to finally, we are encouraged with the local government. We are encouraged when local governments do not do due diligence in resolving matters such as police shootings to the death of Kenneth Chamberlain in his home, and all the verbiage of Alabama and Mississippi in days past, that the federal government will do what White Plains and Westchester County governments did not do, to bring justice and to resolve what appears to be a racial motivated hate crime of violence and death. We remain committed to the human and civil rights of all citizens of our community. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Normally, as citizens to be heard, we just hear comments from people, we don't respond, that's normal operation. I just want to be clear with everyone, and Pastor Williamson and I have spoken about this. Mr. Chamberlain quoted me accurately. The fact that the district attorney reached their conclusion ends that portion of the case, but the work for this city is only beginning. And I can tell you that myself and this council are all working to ensure that this is fully investigated and that and it is investigated to the end. Because we want a conclusion of what happened here, not just for the family involved, not just for the police officer involved, but for our whole community. Because White Plains is a unique community. In addition to the investigation that's taken care of at public safety, and I can tell you right now, the type of language you're talking about is unacceptable to be said by anybody who works for the city. But it's got to go through its process. I believe it should be a rather quick process, and I've urged speed in that process. In addition, you should know, and I have full support of the council on this, we are bringing in outside experts to do a broad review of the policies and procedures of this department. That report will be given directly to me, not to public safety. They report to me. That's been made clear to them. They will be independent, and when I have the report, it will be shared with all of you, just as I get it. So I wanted to be clear that myself and the council, we're not done with this. So there, I've had my say. I normally don't talk at these meetings, but today I felt like it was important to do so. Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor and Common Council, we want to make sure that our voices are heard as well. We are men of God and women of God in this community, so we are a moral voice. So even in biblical times when injustice was apparent, the prophet was raised up to speak. Our city, our community has a soul. A soul. We have a spirit.
Yes.
And when these things happen, it reflects, it does something to our soul. It devalues life. When an elderly man in his own home is shot and killed. I looked at the video and my spirit was troubled because the officer said, "We are not here to hurt you." They repeated, "We are not here to hurt you." Yet at the end of the day, he was murdered. And they rattled his door with batons. They taunted him. They escalated the situation. The video is there. You can watch it and you can see it for yourself. Reports are there. And if that's the way that our officers treat people, whether you say they're mentally challenged or whatever you want to say about them, you can't escalate a situation and treat a person like a trapped animal and expect the animal not to respond, trying to defend himself or herself. So we want to say that as the moral, spiritual leaders, we're concerned about the soul of our city. When I Googled White Plains and shooting, so many articles came up in reference to this, that we are being known as the place where the police shooting took place. And that's not the image that I would like for us to have for our city. That's not the image we would like for our children to have, or our youth to have. We want to cooperate and not to fear police officers, but to work with them as partners in the community. So we are concerned and we need to speak up, because if we don't speak up as the preachers and pastors of this community, someone will say, "Where are the pastors? Where is the church? Why is nobody speaking on our behalf?" So we speak on behalf of Officer Hannon. We speak on behalf of the Chamberlain family. We speak on behalf of the minority and all citizens of White Plains, that this is something that's happening that's damaging our spirit and our soul and our trust for each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.